Um, how did you get into this work?
Well, into the sort of drugs field
Yeah,
generally.
yeah.
Well, I came into it. In fact, although this makes me sound absolutely ancient. Before AIDS took off, so I started the first project I did was in the late 80s in Glasgow, and I'd been living in Aberdeen, but I had the chance to move to Glasgow to do a project with a kind of ethnographic project with a group of kids who one of the local GPs thought they were going to start to get involved with drugs. The kids themselves weren't using drugs, but they were referring to drugs a lot in their contact with this GP who had close contacts in the local community. And he'd been associated with a charitable donation to Glasgow University, and he'd said to me, if you want to come to Glasgow, you could work on this project. And that project really just involved me spending months really on the streets with these kids in a world which was totally alien to me, having come my own background was from the south of England, so here I was transported onto the streets in the Gorbals in Glasgow, trying to kind of link to these kids who indeed were associating increasingly with the kind of burgeoning drugs culture on this estate, and it just provided me with an opportunity, which is something I'd kind of always wanted, of just spending time and talking to people about what they're doing, and seeing the way the kids socialised with each other, and then writing about it. And that kind of reflected an interest that I had, in a sense, with kind of urban ethnography, just describing the lives of these kids. And for me, it was absolutely fascinating. When I used to drive there from where I was staying in the West End near the university, and I would always park my car about half a mile away from where I was actually going to be seeing these kids, because in a sense I didn't particularly want them to know a great deal about me, because I didn't want them to think that I had this sort of prurient middle class interest in what they were doing. So I tried to kind of narrow the social distance between them and me, and I didn't want them to see me arriving in fact, at that time I had this sort of little red sports car, and I used to park it, and then I would leave their community centre where the kids would hang around and walk the half mile to pick my car up. And on one time they bumped into me doing that, and my kind of subterfuge was completely blown out of the water. but in a way in which I'd completely not anticipated. These kids absolutely loved the fact I had this car, so they didn't react adversely at all, in a way in which I was trying to kind of play down the social distance between me and them. They actually really enjoyed it, so they wanted to get in the car, and they really appreciated it. And at that point, from then I could always just drive it to where I was actually going to spend time with them. And that field work was just full of lovely moments like that, as they understood me, and I got to understand them. I mean, I would go down there, and I'd, at the start I'd walk into a room where there's about sort of half dozen or so kids hanging around, and I'd walk into this room, and en masse they'd all get up and leave as I arrived, and I'd kind of traipse after them to the room that they just decanted to, and then they'd go back into the room that they'd actually, and it started like that because they didn't know who I was, and they were trying to, they just thought this was really odd. Who's this guy who's hanging around? He's English. What on earth is he doing here? But over time, those social distances kind of diminished. In fact, there was one occasion when a girl had said to me, I had a can of Coke, and she said, "Oh, can I have a drink of your can, Neil?" And I gave it to her, and then when she gave it back to me, she said, "I spat in that." And I said, "That's okay, because I spat in it before I gave it to you." and that was the point which I knew that then we were all there was a certain level that they could take the piss out of me, and I could also have fun with them.
Yeah.
And really that was the very first study that I did to do having anything to do with drugs.
Okay.
And it kind of built from then, because AIDS then took off in Edinburgh, and there was suddenly a huge interest in was Glasgow going to see an HIV epidemic on a scale that was been seen in Edinburgh, and there was a lot of interest in who knows about drug users in Glasgow, who can shed some light on what's going on. So I had the chance to sort of build on that research, and really that my kind of career grew out of that.
Okay, it's really interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, I loved that of all the work that I've done. The work that's involved just spending sort of time with people, talking to them and listening to them, and just seeing their lives. Really, that's the stuff that I've always most enjoyed.
Yeah, they're special moments, aren't they? In the sense of getting that close up with that individual and spending that time with them and getting to know them.